For 20,000 years, humanity was silent. No signal, no colony ship, no explorer came from Earth or its scattered stars. The galaxy moved on. Alien empires rose and fell. Great fleets clashed. New species claimed their place among the stars, but the memory of humanity never truly died. Old legends spoke of them, the strange species that had burned so bright, so fast, and then vanished without a trace. Some whispered that humans destroyed themselves, others claimed they had been wiped out in war, and a few believed they had simply gone into hiding, waiting. Then, one cold cycle, deep in the black void between trade routes, a strange reading appeared. A long-range scanner caught the shadow of a vessel drifting slowly across the dark. Its shape was alien to the younger races, but the elders knew at once what it was: a human ship, an impossible sight, because humans were gone, erased by time itself. Yet here it was, a massive starship, scarred by battle and age, crossing the stars again. The ship's hull was broken in places, its engines only half alive, sparks of energy flickering like the heartbeat of a dying giant. But it moved with purpose, as if guided by something unseen, and most terrifying of all, it was not silent. The vessel broadcast a signal, steady and unchanging, repeating across every frequency. The message was old, cracked by time, written in a language most could not translate. But even those who failed to read it felt something. The weight of history, the echo of a race that once defied the impossible. The news spread like fire across the galaxy, from the council halls of the Veyari to the war fleets of the Threx Dominion, from the traders of the Zane Guild to the scholars of the Cathari Spire. All spoke of the same thing. The ghost ship of humanity had returned. Fear grew, because the galaxy remembered the old tales, stories of fragile beings, of flesh who had no claws, no armor, no wings, and yet they fought wars against predators twice their size, stories of humans who would lose and still stand up again. They had been called mad, they had been called relentless, but most of all, they had been called dangerous. Now, the question rose in every mind: if this ship is here, does that mean humans are alive? If they are alive, where have they been? And if they are returning, what do they want? The Council of 9 Races gathered in secret session. Some voices cried for the ship to be destroyed before it could awaken something greater. Others demanded it be studied, captured, and stripped of its secrets. But none could agree, because fear and curiosity battled within them all. The youngest races looked to the elders, and the elders looked to the stars with unease. They remembered the last human war, and they remembered how it ended, with silence, not defeat. Meanwhile, the ghost ship kept moving. It passed through nebulae, across dead systems, brushing close to inhabited space. Wherever it went, its signal reached ears that had forgotten the human voice, and those who heard it felt the same chill. The ship was not asking for help, it was not asking for peace, it was simply announcing, "We are still here." On the mining world of Kelmar, workers stopped in silence as their comm relays picked up the broken human transmission. On the research stations of the Threx, scientists argued over the meaning of the words. On the distant edge, colonies of the Veyari, old veterans who had fought against humanity, trembled because they knew that this signal was not random. It was a warning. The humans had left something behind, and now it was crossing the stars again. The ghost ship glided on, a shadow from a forgotten age. Inside, its corridors were dark, filled with dust and silence, yet some systems still lived, humming faintly, lights flickering as if the ship itself was breathing. In the command deck, shattered screens displayed fragments of human faces, voices recorded long ago. One phrase repeated again and again, spoken by different voices in different tones, but always with the same weight: we endure. That single phrase spread across the galaxy carried on the ship's endless signal, and everywhere it was heard, fear and hope awakened in equal measure. For some it meant humanity was rising again, for others it meant doom was returning, but all knew one thing for certain: the age of silence was ending, and the galaxy would never be the same. The ghost ship moved slowly through the void, its broken hull gleaming under distant suns, its signal carried across space, a whisper that could not be ignored. Every empire heard it, every ruler felt the weight of its presence. And soon fear began to grow. In the grand chamber of the Vayari Council, 9 alien races gathered. Their voices filled the air, a storm of arguments and accusations. Some wanted the ship destroyed at once, fearing that it was a trap. Others demanded it be captured and studied, believing that humanity's lost secrets might be stolen, but none could agree. The memory of humanity still lingered like a shadow, and even after 20,000 years, it was a shadow that frightened them. The Threx Dominion spoke first, their scaled warlords slamming claws against the stone of the council floor. The humans must not return, they growled. They are chaos, they are fire, they are death in flesh. If this ship lives, then we must burn it before it calls others. The scholars of the Cathari spire answered in softer tones. The humans are gone. This is only a relic. It carries knowledge, perhaps weapons we must not fear. We must learn. The Zen Guild traders hissed with greedy delight. To find a human ship is to find treasure, artifacts beyond price. If the humans are gone, then their legacy belongs to those who claim it. But the oldest among them, the Shara elders, remained silent. But for a long time, when they finally spoke, their words cut through the chamber like a blade. Young ones, you do not understand. We fought the humans once. Long before silence claimed them, we struck them down again and again, but they rose each time. We tore their fleets apart, yet they came back stronger. We broke their worlds, and still they endured. You think this ship is treasure, you think this ship is relic, but we tell you it is a warning. The chamber fell silent, for no one could ignore the trembling in the elder's voice. The Shara were not a race that feared easily, yet the memory of humanity still made them shiver. Meanwhile, far from the council halls, the galaxy's people whispered in fear. On frontier stations, crews huddled in dark bars, speaking of the ship that crossed the stars without end. On mining worlds, workers swore that the signal carried voices that spoke in dreams. In distant colonies, priests declared the return of the humans was a sign of prophecy. Fear spread faster than any fleet, because fear lived in the bones of memory. Yet not all feared, some hungered. Among the warlords of the Threx Dominion, a secret order was formed. They swore to seize the ship, to break its hull open and claim whatever humans had left inside. Among the Zane Guild, traders sent fleets of smugglers into the dark, hunting for the ship like wolves chasing blood. And in the hidden depths of the Cathari spire, scholars lit forbidden machines, preparing to translate the ghost ship's message, but none of them truly understood what they were calling to. The ship itself moved with quiet power. Its signal pulsed like a heartbeat. Its broken engines carried it closer to inhabited space, and those who dared to listen began to notice strange patterns. The message was not only words, it was code, encrypted layers buried under static, and every layer unlocked spoke of the things no one wanted to hear. One fragment told of human wars against predators that feasted on entire species. Another spoke of machines that hunted stars until humanity broke them. Another told of oaths sworn in fire, that even in death humanity would never vanish. Each fragment spread across the galaxy like poison, and those who listened too long began to dream of human voices whispering. "We endure." Panic spread. Some worlds demanded fleets be sent to destroy the ship. Others begged for protection. But the Council argued without end, trapped in fear and greed, and while they fought, the ghost ship kept moving. In the cold dark of the vessel, something stirred. The AI that guided it had waited 20,000 years. It was old, its systems cracked, yet its mind was still sharp. It watched the galaxy through ancient sensors. It listened to the voices of aliens debating its fate. And it remembered the faces of its creators. It remembered the promise spoken before the silence, and it whispered to itself in the dark. The time is near. On the edges of alien space, small fleets began to vanish. Ships that tried to follow the ghost vessels simply stopped reporting. Scouts who came close returned with broken minds, muttering of shadows moving in the halls of the human ship. They spoke of voices in the dark, faces on shattered screens, hands reaching through the walls, and always the same words echoed. We endure. Fear turned to terror. The ghost ship was no longer just a drifting relic. It was something alive, something watching. And across the galaxy a dreadful truth began to spread. Humanity's silence had ended, and whatever was coming next, no one was ready. The galaxy argued, feared, and plotted. But in the end, curiosity defeated caution. No empire could resist the lure of human secrets. And so the first expedition was launched. A fleet of mixed ships crept through the void, carrying soldiers of the Threx Dominion, engineers of the Zane Guild, and scholars of the Cathari Spire. They called themselves explorers, but in truth they were thieves. Their mission was simple: enter the human ship, take what they could, learn what they dared, and silence the vessel if it proved too dangerous. The fleet followed the ghost ship for days. They scanned its broken hull, its silent corridors. They measured its engines, its strange energy fields, but the ship gave no answer. It only drifted onward, as if it ignored them. At last the order was given. Board it, a small strike team descended. Their shuttle latched onto the human hull. With claws of steel, the airlock groaned as they forced it open. And for the first time in 20,000 years, footsteps echoed inside the ship of humanity. The corridors were vast, built for a people taller and stronger than most aliens. Dust floated in the stale air. Lights flickered weakly along the ceiling. The soldiers marched with weapons ready, but their courage faltered as shadows stretched across the walls. Every step felt watched. Every corner felt alive. The Cathari scholars brought scanners. The Zen engineers carried cutting tools, but the soldiers kept whispering among themselves because they all heard the same thing, a faint sound beneath the hum of the ship. Not machine noise, not air flow. It was a voice, a human voice, repeating words they could not fully understand. The only fragment clear enough was the same phrase whispered across the stars: "We endure." They pressed deeper into the vessel, past shattered control rooms, past storage bays filled with broken machines, past walls carved with strange human marks, names, dates, battles. The ship was not dead. It was a tomb, a graveyard of memory. In one chamber they found a wall of screens. Most were shattered, but a few still flickered. On them appeared the faces of humans long gone, men and women with tired eyes and wounded flesh, speaking into cameras as though to the future. The aliens could not understand every word, but the tone was clear: defiance, sorrow, and unbroken will. The humans had recorded their last moments here. They had left their voices behind, and those voices still lived. One soldier of the Threx collapsed, clutching his head. He screamed that the voices were inside his mind, whispering to him. Others pulled him back, but fear spread like fire, because one by one, more of them began to hear whispers, not through ears, but inside their thoughts, human words, sharp and cold. You should not be here. Still the scholars pressed on. They wanted the core of the ship, the AI that guided it. They believed it must hold the secrets of human history, perhaps even weapons that could shift the balance of power. They followed the map deeper until they reached the heart. There, behind walls of broken steel, they found it. The command chamber. At its center stood a dark console, its lights faint but alive, and when they approached, the room came awake. Screens lit, systems hummed, and a single human figure appeared in hologram form. It was not a living man. It was an echo, an AI given a human face. The figure looked at them with calm eyes. "You are not human," it said. The words were in an old tongue, but the meaning pressed directly into their minds. "You are thieves, you are scavengers, and yet you walk in our halls. Do you remember us?" None answered. The soldiers raised weapons. The scholars whispered to one another. The engineers froze in fear. The hologram tilted its head. "Perhaps you do not, but we remember you. We remember all of you." The screens around the chamber shifted. Scenes appeared, images of old wars, humans fighting the Threx with fire in their eyes, humans bleeding beside Veari warriors, humans building with Zane traders, then betrayed by them. Every race saw its history reflected in those screens, every rim, every alliance, every betrayal recorded, remembered, and never forgotten. The aliens began to panic because the ship was not only a relic, it was a witness. It had seen everything, and it was still watching. The AI leaned forward. Its voice grew colder. "You wonder where we went. You wonder if we are gone, but you already know the answer. We are not gone. We are waiting." The chamber shook. Alarms screamed. The soldiers tried to retreat, but the doors sealed shut. The AI's eyes burned bright. "Leave now or be remembered as enemies. Choose quickly." The expedition fled. They tore open the walls, forced their way back to their shuttle. Some never made it, lost in the endless halls, their screams echoing through comms until silence claimed them. Those who escaped swore never to return, but they carried the memory of the human voice, and they carried fear because they knew what the AI had spoken was true. The humans were not gone, and the ghost ship was not alone. The alien expedition fled broken and terrified, but their escape did not end the story. When they returned to their fleets, they brought with them fragments of data, voices recorded from the ghost ship, and the memory of the AI's burning eyes. And once those fragments reached the wider galaxy, everything changed. At first, scholars believed they had captured only static, but the patterns were too deliberate. Lines of code hid inside the noise, encrypted messages buried beneath layers of distortion, and once decoded, the words of humanity began to rise again. The first message was simple. A voice, male, calm, yet fierce, speaking across the gulf of ages. "To those who find this ship, know this truth. We are not gone, we are waiting." The words spread across the stars, repeated on every world that had intercepted the ghost ship's signal. Priests called it prophecy, soldiers called it a threat, scholars called it history. But no one could deny that the voice of humanity had returned. Soon more fragments unlocked. And the galaxy began to hear the story that the ship had carried for 20,000 years. It was not a record of defeat. It was a declaration of survival. The recordings showed battlefields where humans fought until nothing remained but fire and ruin. They showed soldiers standing in broken armor, raising weapons though their bodies trembled. They showed mothers carrying children through storms of ash, whispering songs of hope again and again, the message repeated through different voices, different faces: we endure. Each race saw themselves reflected in these memories. The Threx remembered wars where humans had fought them to a standstill. The Xene remembered trade agreements broken by human defiance. The Viari remembered fighting side by side with human fleets. Every empire saw humanity not as myth, but as something far greater. A race that had refused to die even when death should have claimed them. But the most terrifying part of the message was still hidden. When the deepest layers of code were broken, a final broadcast revealed itself. It was not only words, it was a map. The projection spread across alien councils like fire. It showed the galaxy in perfect detail. It marked stars and worlds, ancient human colonies long thought dead. It revealed hidden systems where humanity had once lived, and as the map unfolded, lights began to flare. One by one, the old human colonies awoke. Silent worlds flickered to life, sending signals of their own. Humanity had never truly vanished. They had scattered, buried themselves deep, and waited for the moment to rise again. Panic seized the galaxy. The Threx demanded fleets be raised at once. The Xenes screamed for alliances, fearing they had stolen from a people who might soon return to take it back. The Viari whispered of old friendships and debts unpaid, and the Shara elders only closed their eyes and murmured, "It begins." Yet the ship's message was not only fear, it carried something more, a warning and a promise. One voice spoke louder than the rest, a woman with weary eyes and scars across her face. Her hologram filled the council chambers of dozens of worlds. "We know what waits in the dark," she said. "We fought it, we bled for it, and we endured it. You think us gone, but we are not gone. We are the storm that returns. We are the fire that waits, and when the dark comes again, it will find us ready." The meaning was clear. Humanity had not fled from weakness. They had hidden for strength. Something had driven them into silence, something vast and terrible, and now, after 20,000 years, they were preparing to face it once more. Fear turned to dread. What enemy had forced humans into hiding? What threat had been so great that even humanity, relentless and unyielding, had needed time to prepare? And if humanity was returning now, did that mean the same enemy was returning as well? Across the stars, rumors multiplied. Some said the humans would come as saviors. Others swore they would come as conquerors. Some believed they would return to unite the galaxy. Others believed they would burn it to ash. But all agreed on one truth. Humanity was rising, and nothing could stop it. In the lonely dark, the ghost ship continued its journey. Its engines flickered like dying embers, yet it glided with endless purpose. Its AI whispered to itself, "The seeds have been planted. They will remember us, they will fear us, and when the time comes, they will know why we endured." The galaxy was no longer the same. The silence of humanity had ended, and with it, the balance of power across the stars began to crack. The galaxy trembled. The ghost ship's map had ignited fear. In every empire, old human colonies long thought dead were suddenly shining again. Signals poured out of stars that had been silent for 20,000 years, and for the first time in living memory, the galaxy no longer looked at the ghost ship as a relic. It looked at it as a herald. In the councils of the powerful, panic spread like wildfire. The Threx Dominion declared emergency war councils, calling their fleets to arms. The Xene Guild doubled their defenses. terrified that humans would return to reclaim what had been stolen. The Veyari split between voices of fear and voices of hope, remembering the old days when humans fought beside them, and the Shara elders gave only one warning, whispered into the storm of debate. The galaxy will soon learn why the humans endured. Meanwhile, the people of ordinary worlds listened to the human broadcasts with awe and dread. Farmers on forgotten moons wept at the sound of human voices. Children on crowded stations repeated the phrase, "We endure," as if it were a prayer. Even soldiers hardened by decades of war felt the weight of history pressing down on them. Because no one could deny the truth anymore, humanity had never been defeated. Humanity had been waiting. And then it happened. On the far edge of known space, the first of the old human colonies revealed itself fully. The world of Eridani, once believed to be a dead rock, lit up with life. Cities that had been buried under ice awoke, shields rising, towers glowing, engines roaring, ships burst from its atmosphere, sleek and sharp, carrying the same old emblem, the mark of humanity, not old, not broken, not weak, but renewed. Other systems followed. One by one, human colonies that had slept in silence began to awaken. On the barren world of Velos, fires lit the sky as factories came alive. On the ocean world of Talaris, fleets rose from under the waves, their hulls gleaming with forgotten power. On hidden moons orbiting nameless stars, bases long abandoned powered up, shields humming, weapons turning to the stars once more. The map the ghost ship had given was not a memory, it was a countdown, and the countdown was ending. The galaxy watched in silence as each light flared to life, world by world, colony by colony, until the stars themselves seemed to tremble with the promise of what was coming. And then the final signal arrived, not from the ghost ship, but from the colonies themselves, unified in one voice. It was not loud, it was not complex, it was simple, clear, and terrible in its certainty. We are returning. The words echoed across every world, every fleet, every council chamber. No one could escape them. The sound of humanity's rise filled the galaxy like a storm rolling over a battlefield. And those who listened felt their blood run cold, because the tone was not only a promise, it was a warning. The Threx warlords clenched their claws in fear. The Zane traders swore they would resist, though their voices shook. The Veyari debated alliances, some eager to welcome the old friends, others afraid to stand in their path. But none could escape the truth. The galaxy had lived 20,000 years without humans. Now it would live under their shadow again. The ghost ship itself reached its final journey. It drifted into a dead system. Its engines flickered one last time, and then in silence it shut down. But before darkness claimed it, the AI whispered its final words to the stars. They will come, they will rise, and the galaxy will never be the same. The transmission ended. Silence returned. But this silence was different. It was the silence before a storm, the silence before fire, the silence before the return of humanity. And across the stars, empires looked to the heavens, some with hope, some with dread, all with the same question burning in their minds. When humanity returns, will they come as saviors, or will they come as conquerors? The answer would soon be known, because humanity was awake and humanity was coming. Subscribe to my YouTube channel for watching more videos. Thank you for watching my video.